let's get this thing rolling then. Hey guys, welcome to the Holy Hour podcast. This is the All Cure podcast. Thanks so much for joining us for the first time or once again. We got a very special episode for you tonight. We're taking it up a notch on many levels. We're expanding our technology abilities. We have incorporated another guest into our conversation here. I don't want to disclose that we are talking to each other long distance, but I guess I just did. And we're also opening up our relationship. This is our first three-way conversation. Hi guys, this is Gavin, and I'm joined by who? Who's out there?
This is Chaz.
Hey Chaz, thanks for being a part of this awkward experiment.
What's up, Chaz?
Oh, this is awkward already. This is great.
Yeah. But it's easy. We'll just take it slow, and we got safe words for each other if we need to just step back. And
the bad boy knows no safe words.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
I'm just raw dogging.
Oh man, I didn't sign up for this. But and apparently this is like not that cutting edge of technology anyway. I was all like, how are we gonna do this? Because we had this idea. It'd be great to have Chaz talk with us, and really wanted to just have this three-way conversation. And I was like driving back from post-holiday stuff, and I was like, I need to just devote like an hour to researching this. And I punched in on like Google. I was like, how do you do a three-way phone call on an iPhone? And it was like, first thing that came out was like, step 1, look at the add call button when you make a call. Like, step 2, hit it. I'm like, oh, really? There's an add call button? It's like, son of a bitch. So here we are.
You've probably seen it like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
You know, like every time you make a call on your phone or something.
Like, why would I add a call in right now? While I'm on a call. That's ridiculous. But we figured we wouldn't just amuse the public with us talking, 3 people at a time, but we figured we should. Well, what topic would we come up with? And we figured a good way to do it would be just to take this number 3 thing all the way, and it is the magic number after all. So we've tried to come up with a set list of all things 3 related that we could think of in the cure. So we got a bit of a cool set list, I think, here. We're just going to kind of go through it and see what all 3 of us have to think or say about these things. Some of them have come up in the show before, some we haven't touched on. So, I don't know. Before we get started, you guys, are you feeling okay with this still?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'll
go first, I guess.
Okay.
This is a little uncomfortable, and my dog keeps pushing his way into this conversation. So
yeah, numbers are gonna increase.
Yeah, seriously, you will not leave me alone.
I'm not down with 4 ways.
4 ways. One of them's a dog.
That's where I draw the line.
Fair enough. But yeah, it should be 13. That's probably the more relevant cure number that they kind of always have some strange attraction to. But I didn't think we could get 13 people to sync up their phone calls. If this works well, maybe we'll try that.
When we get real desperate later.
Yeah, 13. Remember that awesome 3 conversation we had? Let's do it with 13 people. But easing into the year, so maybe let's kick off this thing with I figured the best way to start would be an obvious one is 3 Imaginary Boys, the album and the song. So we talked about the album way back early on. It feels like it's been forever now that Donald and I talked about it, but I don't know.
Like 3 episodes ago.
Yeah, at least 3. Almost 3 years ago at this point. But it's I don't know. It's a weird one. We said, I think Donald and I's final verdict on discussing that, because we paired it up with 3 Imaginary Boys and Boys Don't Cry, because we got the tape Boys Don't Cry before, and it was always kind of the version that we kind of knew and didn't even, we're like, oh, well, so that wasn't even the real first version of the album, of their first album. And I still kind of lean towards Boys Don't Cry being way better, I think. But maybe we'll just throw it over to Chaz. What do you think? Any absolute thoughts on 3 Imaginary Boys as an album?
I mean, the first time I ever listened to it, it kind of blew me away just from what I knew of the Cure prior to hearing it.
Yeah.
just like the punk feel to it compared to what I had heard after, before that. But I do prefer Boys Don't Cry more. I just I like the track listing. I like the songs that were added on to it, and the songs that were taken off. I think it just flows better. I like the artwork more. So it's overall, I think it's just a better album.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where for some reason it didn't initially hit me, but it was like, oh yeah, well, they're adding all those like awesome singles to it, so of course it's gonna sound better with all those cool songs on there. But
all the better songs.
Yeah, but it's like it's kind of weird.
It's crazy how that works.
Listen to like Three Imaginary Boys now, it's like it does just feel like it's missing singles or like big songs. It's like they're fine. Like filler songs or deep cuts, whatever you want to call them, but they're not like enough to really make the album burst. There's still great ones on there. 10:15, Grinding Halt, my favorites. I still like a lot of them, and it is weird. It is like that kind of initial main thing with the album is just how completely different it sounds than other Cure stuff. I think anybody that listens to that's kind of their first impression, because most people probably didn't start with that album by any means unless you go way, way back. So yeah, that's the weird one.
Yeah.
So did you, Chaz, have Boys Don't Cry before Three Imaginary Boys, or did you get them both around the same time? Or
I think I got Boys Don't Cry first, if I remember right, and then I think I came across Three Imaginary Boys after that. So it was just kind of like, oh, there's a lot of the same songs on here. And then like kind of had to research like when and why it was released differently and everything. And So, but yeah, it's just, it doesn't make any sense why it was the other way, like why it just wasn't Boys Don't Cry, period. But it is what it is. So.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah. Well,
I like to imagine the Cure, like early Cure guy fan that got Through Imaginary Boys, and they were like when it first came out.
Oh yeah.
It's like, fuck yeah. And then they like put out Boys Don't Cry, and they were like, ugh.
Yeah. It's like, what's all this poppy
there had to be like there had to be like a few people that were just like, man, their first album slayed, but this.
Then they put out this shitty version of it. Yeah. It's very strange. And then just was like disappointed every album since, like, now they're all dark. This band they could just get back to their roots, man. Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody. Yeah. We want to hear from you if you're that person listening out there. You've just been disappointed for 40 years straight.
They're all like, I don't have the internet.
Yeah. Cool. What about the song Three Imaginary Boys? I think that is one of the big standouts. I love that song. I think it's definitely one.
I think it's one of the best. That's a classic. That's like their fucking Hotel California. I don't know. Probably not that one, but but it's like it's just a standard set, like classic jam,
Yeah. I love it because it is like they are in their punky phase still there, but it's definitely one that could carry over to some later stuff too. Like it could.
It's got the big guitar solo in it.
Yeah, it's a cool solo. Just some weird.
That's the only part I don't like. That's the only part I don't
Yeah.
like about the song is the guitar solo.
Yeah, not a fan of that solo.
No. I really like that song. It's definitely a great crossover between that and like 17 Seconds. But like, that's that guitar solo kind of like, it's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, I just didn't get it.
Because he's not shredding.
Yeah.
No, he's not. It's just a distortion on it. It just is like, it just doesn't really.
It's a little melody.
It doesn't fit to me.
Huh.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see
it does stand out.
Sure.
Like that's why I brought it up, because like that guitar solo does stand out.
Yeah, it really is like its own part, not so much just interesting. Yeah, it's cool that how many of these still, well, not too many, I guess, have stuck around, but there's a few that, it wouldn't be shocking, especially an album that different from all their other shit, that like they would just never play any of these, from like, even a good chunk of it. It would be not that shocking if they never touched any of these, but the Cure's always so good about still keeping stuff in the live set from all the eras, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty good guess like 10-15 pops up pretty regularly. Fire and cuRE maybe somewhat occasionally, but 3 Imaginary Boys is probably pretty regularly in there. But yeah, so not a ton. Definitely not Foxy Lady and Meat Hook, and so that's the weakest parts of the album, I think, when you really see like whoa, they were just killing time in the whole middle of the album. So yeah, hard to say. Cool. And the Weedy Burton, can't forget about that one. Yeah, that's
oh, they got all jazzy, yeah.
Yeah. It's like the worst ending to any album. Like, why would you ruin the perfect, like, 3 Imaginary Boys being the closing track, the title track, like an epic song that it wasn't even like a hidden track. I don't know. I think we babbled about that.
It's missing something.
Yeah. I mean, it's goofy and fun, I guess, but maybe if it was like 15 minutes hidden into the whatever. But anyway,
they were kids.
Yeah,
cut them slack.
I think there's probably a lot that they would have changed in hindsight. I think that's probably why it wasn't on Boys Don't Cry.
Hindsight is 3-3.
So they say.
You know that old saying.
Nobody says. Well, moving on to the next 3, we'll stick to the song idea, I guess. And on the next album, even going chronological, I guess, is the song 3 on 17 Seconds. It's a bit of a weird one. Is it track 3?
This one spooked me.
So.
This one made me think some conspiracy theory shit where it's like, where it's kind of like, 3? Come on.
Oh.
But it is the 3rd song.
Why it's just called 3, you think? As far as the theory?
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it isn't the 3rd song. It's track 5. So.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Secrets is
track 3. I thought you said the 2nd
3.
one was 3.
Nah. It's not track 3. It's right? Yeah, track 5. Yeah. So
yeah, they fucked up on that one.
I'm freaking out.
Y'all confused and freaking out.
Can you cut this? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this song. It's not bad, but I feel like this is one of the weaker spots of 17 Seconds that I got. Took the bad where I had to defend why I wasn't too thrilled with it. It's just such a short album, and that's kind of a throwaway song, you know. I feel like, I don't know, there's no room for that, you know, just like, or there should have more of those if they're just gonna fill it out a little bit more. But that was my overall 17 Seconds. Great, but I don't know. How do you guys feel? The song 3, it's just kind of not one of the more memorable
I'm obviously
ones.
Confused.
Are you just totally stumped now? I
don't know which 3 we're on. It's probably the 3rd one, but
yeah. So the song 3.
Chaz.
Oh, you didn't listen to that one? I don't know. What do you think, Chaz? Are you a fan of that song in particular? Does it have any real relevance to the album?
I honestly have, like, I don't really have an opinion about the song. It's like it never really did anything for me, but it's like I enjoy the music to it, but I mean, it's not. It's just not anything that ever hit me with any, anything. So, I love that album. It's just, I'm just like, meh, okay, next one.
Right. It's definitely not the glue that holds the album together by any means, but it's like I never get bothered by it. I'm not like, oh god, I gotta get past this song. But yeah, well, that's cool. I guess we're all kind of in the same boat there. I think once Donald pulls his shit back together, now you all shaking and stuff over there, like cold sweats.
I'm just pacing around going, I should have listened. I don't know what
we're talking about. You're going to be really confused on the next one, because that's before 3, the song off the self-titled album that I have a feeling Donald isn't very familiar with. Did you go back and listen to that one, Donald, before 3?
It was a tough thing, man. I was like, I need to do this for the podcast, but like
2004 it came out, right? So,
and I just couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to listen to any of the later ones. Like I just couldn't. I listened back to like some older stuff, like just to listen to my 3s. But god damn, man, when it got later, I was like fucking checking out.
It's just like one song, man. It's like 3 minutes long.
Bad boy's a busy boy. I got a lot of stuff in my kibble bowl, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. It's understandable.
Not really. I'm just lazy, but
I'd be harder on you, but my verdict on that song isn't the most favorable either. I'm like, not.
Oh wait, it sucks.
A little bit, but I'm just not much of a fan.
Who knew? Who would have thunk?
Not my favorite album, and that song in particular is kind of, it's not bad. It's just not, doesn't really go anywhere. Is my gripe with it. It's just kind of, well, they're kind of lost in that heavier approach and the yeahs and all that. Starts out by him just going yeah, and that kind of sums it up for me. It's like yeah. I don't know.
Oh, that was their self-titled one, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's because there's a couple songs I like on that album, but it's definitely my least favorite cuRE album as a whole. But we'll get into that.
That's their rock record
later. Their rock record,
right?
Yeah.
That self-titled one. It's like the with that corn
man. Yeah, corn nuts.
Like the corn dude, you know?
Yeah.
Not porn,
but
corn.
Yeah.
The
Robinson,
corn producer,
right?
Yeah.
This is not.
Shoo.
Yeah. How about you, Chaz? Whether that song in particular or the album?
I'm gonna disagree with both of you, and I actually like that song.
You like that one? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
The album's definitely down at the bottom of my list, but I think that's one of the better standout
one of the better ones on it
of that album. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is not a whole lot to like on that album, but I think that's one of the ones that I actually
that's one of the ones.
Like.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
What's
cool.
What turns you off about it?
The whole album, or just.
Or the song, or the whole album.
He liked the song.
I like the song. I just I think it's got a good melody, and I like the lyrics, and I do understand how you think you could get like kind of lost in it because there isn't like a distinct chorus verse kind of thing to it. But it doesn't have that real pop appeal that like a lot of the bigger hits would have, but. I don't know. It just out of the whole album. I mean, if I made a list of all my favorite songs, it wouldn't be anywhere close to the top. But just in that album in general, I think it's one of the better tracks.
You don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Yeah. It's not going on any mixtapes or anything, so it's just
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's cool. It's weird listening to it today again. I was kind of trying to just find something new to pull out of it or whatever, but it kind of did get me thinking. It's funny you said the lyrics and stuff too, because I did feel like it had like better lyrics than I remembered it having and stuff. And I was like, it made me kind of wonder if they'd recorded it differently, if I would have liked it more, just because it does kind of have that harder aggressive side to it, but it didn't seem like it's that kind of song. So I felt like they doesn't really match with the tone when he gets into his kind of like shouting Robert voice more. It's like it's cool, but I just like it's not my favorite kind of deal. And I do match up with the idea of it being a lot better than a lot of the other songs on the album for sure, but it's still probably not one of my favorite ones on there. But yeah, totally see that. So I wonder if even if they took more of like a acoustic-y approach or something with it, if it would be like totally different, like because it just doesn't seem it kind of just seems like it goes in circles where it starts out cool and I'm like, and then it just like keeps going and going in a loop kind of deal.
Yeah, I got that.
I mean, he's like Robert Smith has had success with doing that in songs with no like super distinct like parts,
Yeah.
And I listen to like a ton of other shit, like shoegazy stuff and just electronic shit that, it's not a super obvious like verse chorus. It's more like parts and like movements, kind of and stuff. But Chaz, do you listen to any like stuff like that?
Like shoegazy stuff?
Like. Yeah, like where it isn't like I mean, some shoegaze is super like verse chorus, but like any other stuff that's like, kind of a little less structured musically.
Yeah, I mean, I listen like my musical taste is kind of like all over the place, and I don't say that like I like listen to top 40 country and then I listen to like like 311 or anything like that, but I mean like. I listen to stuff no problem. I listen to stuff where the music is like 10 seconds long. Like I listen to a lot of punk and a lot of hardcore and stuff that's stuff that can be really structured and stuff that's just all over the fucking place. And so like I'm not in a specific like pattern. Like I like this in a song. It's just if something catches me, it catches me. So
that's what's up.
So I've listened. I don't know if you're familiar with like grindcore or anything like that. Like I listen to stuff like that. So I mean, it's like stuff that wouldn't be classic. Wouldn't be considered music. I guess would just be noise. Yeah. Would just be noise and people yelling and screaming and whatnot. But I mean, so it's just kind of I don't really have a set structure with what I like or anything. So
man after my own heart. God damn it. Like that's one of the sweetest, best responses to answers to that question. Yeah, just like just a short like rah. It's like I don't know, that impacts me more sometimes than like that was a really beautiful chorus and the way they transitioned into the pre-chorus, like from the verse to the pre-chorus to the chorus, and that has its moments and it's beautiful when it's done well, and that just. Anything done well, be it like a 2-second like rah or like a fucking like a full 30-minute jazz improv, or even a sweet country song, can be pretty and beautiful,
Like you're saying, it really does just kind of depend on, because it goes the other way too, where you could definitely have songs where you're trying not to do the typical structure as like a on purpose kind of thing, and then you're doing it for the sake of doing it is never a good idea. It's like if it's a good song, it's a good song, but when you get into some bands that are just like all over the place for the sake of, well, we don't want to go to that chorus because that would be too obvious, or it's like,
yeah, exactly,
that's dangerous territory too. It's like, just write a good song, I don't care what you do with it, it's been proven that both work. So
yeah, totally.
Pretty cool.
Pretty's pretty.
Damn. Well, moving on, still amazingly in order. Maybe this is a good time to bring up the next third cuRE album, Faith, as a whole.
Hell yeah.
It's a much loved by most cuRE fans, no matter which end of the spectrum you fall on. Pop fan, gloom fan, late cuRE, early cuRE. Everyone pretty much loves Faith, I think. So fairly safe to say, don't you guys think? It's hard to find somebody just straight up hates Faith, but
does anybody?
I love it.
Does anybody hate this album?
Oh, go ahead, dude.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think everyone just kind of has it ranked maybe somewhere different. But like, I don't feel like when we put out that episode, definitely didn't hear any like people were just like, I don't know what the hype's all about. That album sucks. Like nobody said that. I don't think. But if they did, I just ignored them already, and I can't remember. But, I think like that's usually where it gets like paired and weird. Like when you do hear somebody say something that I find kind of shocking or weird, it's that they'll just say like a really obvious like, I think it's like way lamer than like, pornography in 17 seconds and everything else, or it's just like, oh wow, really, all right, or like I would definitely take Wild Mood Swings over Faith, and stuff like that. I'm like, oh okay,
I've never
interesting, but so,
ever.
There's been variations of that, but it's like, well, you got what you got, I can't vouch for everybody's order of what they love and what they don't, but yeah, I feel like it's a pretty widely loved one, and I'm right there with it. I think it's a cool, like with the idea of sticking to the 3's, because, like how do you feel like it fits into in the like timeline of theirs? Was it a surprise third album, like coming after 17 Seconds? Do you guys feel like it was the natural next album?
To the person that was like through Imaginary Boys, their peak.
Yeah.
That fan was probably like, oh god, synthesizers, Jesus, like psh, they fucking sold out.
Going back to this guy, we got to give him like a name at some point if we're gonna keep referencing this.
Yeah, I like. It's funny, but yeah, it's one of their best.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a big fan.
I can't
is
say
it your
anything more about
ultimate
this record.
favorite, Donald? Would you go on record saying that's your number one?
Yeah,
cool,
a million times. It's just the best fucking. God damn.
Yeah. Well, roughly
that's
on the
the
timeline,
best.
where does it fall for you, Chaz? or not timeline, but the countdown, the number one, or the top.
Was 15. This the third cuRE album you've heard?
I wouldn't really remember that, but yeah, sure, why not? It's the third one I heard. Edit that and it's the third one I heard.
Definitely. I wanted to listen to them all in order.
I think it falls perfectly in their timeline. I can't complain about the album at all. I think it's pretty perfect. I also think 17 Seconds and Pornography are both perfect too. And just how that block of music flows from one point from the beginning to the end. I will say that I've only ever gotten emotional at 2 cuRE concerts, and one was when they played Madison Square Garden when they opened the Plane song. And I got teary, and my wife was like, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "No." And then when I saw the Reflections tour, and they played Faith, it was the Faith track. It was the last song. It just was like, I don't know, just the whole thing fucking floored me at that point. And I was just like, this is like the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So I don't know what it was at that point. It was just the mood and the whole entire crowd, and like it didn't feel like anybody was breathing, and it was just perfect. So yeah, awesome. I mean, I can't, like, I probably couldn't say enough about those 3 albums all in a row. So they're definitely, like, if I'm in one of those moods, I could listen to that from beginning to end and then end to beginning. So it's just great. So
yeah, that's a great point. When you're in the mood for that album, oh man,
holy fuck,
you put in it's like that's pretty much the only thing you can be like, well, sometimes I'm just feeling a little too good to put on Faith, you know. But that's pretty much the only negative I think is like, and that's not even a negative. It's just it nails the mood so perfect that it's like, but yeah, when you're on for it, it's like game on kind of thing. Let's do this.
It absolutely is, man. It's like some of those like. It's like one of those records when I get from work. Sometimes I like to listen to, like, just like smoke a bowl, have a beer, and it's like and it's like lay down on the rug and like lay with the dogs and hang out with them. I always like put on very specific things, and like a lot of times like Faith just like it's just like the best like therapy. It's just like I get up and I'm like, all right, like kind of cleanse myself from a shitty day or a hard day, you know.
Yeah.
Just like,
yep.
But Faith is one of those go-tos for me. It was just like, just gotta dip my toes in this. It's like a sauna.
Yeah. Sweaty and shit.
It's just like, but just cleansed.
Yeah.
Open up your pores.
Yeah. Well, it's weird to think of it in the idea of their timeline, too, of, like, how a band's third album is usually considered very pivotal, you know, like...
yes!
Where it seems like everybody has, like, that big first album, then the second one, everyone kind of gives you the free pass to kind of really suck or take it up a notch, and then it's like, well, that third one's kind of, like, where you're gonna go, and I feel like the cuRE's kind of all like over all those, there with... But what's that?
Yeah, but that theory is like, it's like those bands like Counting Crows and shit or something, or like Third Eye Blind or whatever, where they're just like, their third album, they really didn't, didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
But like with the cuRE, it's like, nah.
Yeah. Because you see that pattern a lot too with bands where like the first album's huge or big enough to get like attention where they are allowed to keep making records, and then like the second one's like all right, and then they usually just go straight up, and the third one's like they're shit, or you have that dip at the second album, then they like come back or they fade away. Like that third one's where you get kicked off your label if this third one sucks.
That's totally it.
Well, yeah, and it's hard to tell with the cuRE because they had such a weird dynamic shift and everything with sound and just their situation of the time that they came out and everything. So it's hard to say if any of those rules really were applying to them at the time. But it is kind of cool when you think of it in their grand scheme of where it had that, and then 17 Seconds was definitely not like a dip, but like them starting over, like with a new kind of direction too, in a sense. And then this one kind of really honed it in more, So I could see
or
that.
17 Seconds is them like, this is the start of our best 3 string of records.
Yeah, it's almost like it.
This is the best shit we're gonna do. Like, they were young, they were like just creative as fuck and just ready to go, and they just made these 3 fucking weird ass fucking records. And to me, it's like that's my fucking trilogy of the Cure, is those 3 records.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, we'll get the trilogy. Don't worry, that's in the 3 list. Cool.
Well, we were gonna bring that up later.
Oh yeah, man. So, shifting gears, we thought a good way to look at track 3s of all their albums would be to list them all out. And I sent you guys a list of the track listing. If this was some kind of weird-ass Cure compilation, the track 3s from all their albums, including Japanese Whispers, would be track 1, Grinding Halt, then Secrets, Other Voices, Hanging Garden, Just One Kiss, Wailing Wall, The Blood, Torture, Closed Down, Apart, This Is a Lie, Where the Birds Always Sing, Before 3, and Reason Why. So, and like we were saying, it's a little weird that Hanging Garden's the only track 3. I guess I'll repeat that section again. But the idea, like, you would think a lot of bands put their big single as number 3, track 3. That's a little strange. I don't think they follow that formula. Surprised by that.
Yeah, it's not a best your greatest hit list right there.
Nah.
So.
Yeah. If you guys were making an album today, would you put your big single? Where would you put it on an album?
That's a good one.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it always is like in that top 3. You either just come out blazing with it, or you could do like a weird song, then you come out on track 2 or 3. So, but
you definitely want. You definitely want to grab the audience, within the first couple songs. But yeah, it's got to be in the top. It's got to be within the top like 3 or 4 tracks.
Yeah.
So.
I like it midway in a record. I like to
maybe
punish the listener a bit. Like,
you would,
like see who your fucking real fans are.
Isn't that enough?
Yeah, just like see who's for real. Like, ease and you want to like ease people into things. Like,
well, you do see a lot with
introducing things. Like, you don't like you can come out swinging and make an impression, and there's definitely records that do that, and I'm fine with it. Like, it's not that big of a deal anyways. Like, in the end, like, where it is, it's just like how it all goes together is the important part. With a record. And
you did see a big shift from like CDs, like, which, I always kind of follow that pattern more, like where you should probably put it in the top 3 on a CD, but like vinyl and tapes, you would always like there would be more of that single as the first song on side 2 kind of approach, so in that regards it would be kind of buried in the middle, so.
And I like the idea of like of that difference between like vinyl cassettes and CDs and MP3s, and where like they were worried that people wouldn't bother to pick up the record and flip it over if like the first 3, like one of the first 3 songs were good or not.
Right.
Like, that was like, they're not going to get up and off their couch and walk over
like,
and pick a record up and flip it over and put the needle down, and like you're going to lose interest that fast. That's kind of how like TV, writing and like TV shows and stuff and writing, it's like, and commercials, and like you gotta grab them in the first like the first fucking 3 minutes or the first 4 minutes of a show. Yeah, people will change the channel, or
I'm sure there's like so much research. Yeah, that probably goes a billion different ways, but I don't know.
It's gone from picking up a remote of some kind or your phone and hitting a button. It's gone from getting off the couch to picking up your moving your fingers to change whatever sucks.
Perhaps. Hard to say. Yeah,
that's my
now,
take on.
Now
that's my take on 3's.
Yeah. So what does that have to do with the number 3? Let's focus on the important thing here. Is the number 3. But looking at
Donald,
that list, do you have a favorite one of these 3's?
Hold on, Donald. Could you tell me how you really feel about TV remotes for a little bit? I need to waste some more time.
Yeah.
Well, funny you mention it.
It's like a dog humping your leg sometimes. You just gotta let him finish before you can move on. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but just
this is the third
get it out of your
best thing
system,
I've ever. This is the third best bad boy rant on Holy Hour history.
Oh God.
Well, I'm going with Grinding Halt, surprisingly, even though I don't love 3 Imaginary Boys too much, as we just said. I love that song, so that's probably my favorite of the 3 lists there. Close Down's pretty awesome, no matter what, but yeah. So, I don't know. Just One Kiss, too. I think that's probably why I included it, because that's a rad song, but I don't know.
That's literally my favorite, like, third one. It's a tough call between Close Down and Just One Kiss, but Just One Kiss might win out. Like,
yeah,
man, that's a good 3.
Yeah. Do you have
that song's the best.
You got a favorite, Chaz?
I'm gonna go with Secrets.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that song.
It's a good one.
So much. I just
that song's dope.
That is like the perfect song for that album. So I
remember
I've sat and listened to that song about 10 times in a row and just listen to it on repeat over and over. I fucking love that song. It's so good.
Awesome.
But yeah,
that's dope.
If I had to pick another song, it'd be like Hanging Gardens or Close Down.
Yeah.
But Just One Kiss is good too. But I mean, yeah, out of those other, you take those 4 songs and after that, it's pretty much a wasteland of just
yeah. Yeah, it does get a little bleak by the end of that list there.
But a bleak, pleasant wasteland to be in. Like, there's worse wastelands. It's a good wasteland.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
How do you rank 17 Seconds with Faith, 17 Seconds, and Pornography? Where does 17 Seconds land on that 3 scale?
On that trilogy.
Man, I wasn't ready for that question.
Yeah, that trilogy.
That's rough. It honestly, it all depends on what mood I'm in, just because I think they're all perfect. So it's, over the past year, I've been really into Pornography, which is, I just, I don't know what it is about that album. Like, I would have put that in, all the way at the top of my list of just favorite albums by them. And then, it just depends how I feel. Like, if I was describing my depression, I would, it would have to be like a breakdown of how I feel in those 3 albums. On what level I'm at that day, So
like, I'm more 17 Seconds today. Like, I'm okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I got a little pep in my step, still, but I'm not there at Faith where I just want to fall onto the carpet and disappear. So so yeah, definitely. It's up.
But yeah, it's weird though that they did, because so many do consider, like 17 Seconds, Faith, and Pornography. It is weird that they chose to do it like that as opposed to those 3 albums, but I guess it makes sense, just the first 3 that got it rolling. But it does seem a little weird that you would play 17 Seconds and Faith without doing Pornography right after it, So.
It made me feel like I misunderstood their message the whole time when this came out.
Yeah, he's like,
where's that combo?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Yeah, but we got you there, Chaz?
Yeah, they played another. Sorry. Didn't they play another trilogy show? But it was just like a one-off. But it was
I don't think officially. Nah.
Was it? I thought it was a couple years ago where they played like Head on a Door and.
Nah, I think they did a show where they just Yeah, nah, I think a lot of people were talking about it, but it wasn't official. And they did like some show where they just played like tons of stuff off like the top, I think. Yeah, I think it was like a lot of stuff off of the top and Head on the Door. And then I think that's what just got a lot of people like super like, oh, they got to just be warming up these songs because why else would you brush up on shit from the top unless you're going to do something like that? But yeah, so I don't
like,
think
what song? But they're like, we're going to play what?
Yeah. so
like shit off the top?
Because, yeah, that'd be not my preferred trilogy, but that'd still be pretty rad and see the top Head on the Door
cool
and Kiss Me, Kiss Me. Like... Yeah, just because it's so different and weird, but yeah, I don't know, man. But so yeah, and then we get your dream trilogies covered there. So I don't know. Do you think they'll do that again? Is that even a possibility? Everyone's got it so like stuck in their head that that's something that they would do again, but I don't know.
With as many albums as they have, it's always a possibility, I guess. But,
yeah.
You know, I just don't see them doing it. But
yeah,
I mean, they could surprise us this year, but. With our luck, they would end up playing like the self-titled and the top and Wild Mood Swings all over.
Right. Yeah, everyone's like, whoa. It's like, surprise, bitches.
What was that? Because you could like literally just like put the records in a hat, like write them on a piece of paper and just like grab a handful.
Yeah. I'd still
want to play any three.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be weird. Yeah, and then he come up with like, didn't you get it? Like you're saying, it was like, what? That was the message? I didn't realize those three albums were connected at all. It's like yes.
Did I miss something?
It's like the glove, Wild Mood Swings. And it's like, oh, weird. All right, whatever. He's officially lost his mind, you know. Everyone's like, okay, I guess.
Wild Mood Swings.
But going back to the idea of 3's again, any of their live shows, it seems like, especially on this last tour, they really are sticking to this idea of 3-hour sets, which I think is great. But I don't know how calculated it is that it has to be near 3 hours. But seems to be that they were all clocking in around that time, and I don't know. Other than Donald, I can't see any Cure fan having a problem with them playing for as long as possible. But you've cited in the past that maybe you're not a big fan of the mega shows. Donald?
Me?
Are you with me, Donald? What's the problem? Why would you not want to see more value for your ticket money and such?
Just 3 hours of my life. That's 3 hours of my life.
What the fuck you got better to do, you're out. You're in the stadium. You bought a ticket. You know, of course you want to see more. You're just like, no, I hope they wrap up a little 45-minute set and be home in time to catch some X-Files reruns. Or what was the argument? I don't even get.
There's like a million things that I love where I like to do it for a long time, like eat a good meal, like fool around, like you know.
Well, yeah, but
like just like tons of things, like lay in a fucking like warm pool and like lay outside.
You can
in the
still
sun.
do those things.
But 3 hours of any of that, like people that are like, I like to have sex for 3 hours. Like, that's a lot of sex.
Yeah.
Like, 3 hours of sex is a lot, but sex is great. Like, I can handle, like, a bit of that. You know, but, like, 3 hours is a lot. Like, I could eat a great meal, but a steak's only the size of a steak. It's not going to take you 3 hours.
Okay.
Eat a fucking steak. So anything.
So you saying... in your Donaldish way, that like maybe by seeing them for 3 hours, by the end of that 3 hours, you've kind of lost the appeal. Like,
it's enough.
Where do you think? Where would you like it to end? At the 2 hour mark? 1 hour? Where's your cutoff?
I'm not a glutton.
But I mean, it's not like you're seeing them like every week or anything. It's like,
yeah, that would be my retort to that. Is that you eat every day. Mm-hmm. And you sleep every day, and like you know you get it on every once in a while,
yeah.
But you don't see the Cure every day, or like once a month.
Totally.
Do the math.
So you only eat or have sex as many times as the cure comes around?
Yeah, man, that's not good.
I like that. That's exactly how I don't sleep for 3 hours. I don't sleep for more than 3 hours at a time. And
yeah, 3's too much.
I get your point.
It's just weird.
But
it just
just
seems like you're gonna make this moment happen. It's like kind of like, yeah. I mean, if the band wants to go that long, why would you not?
You only work for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah. Nothing more.
Not 3 hours, no.
I'm with you on that one.
With union, I only do everything in 3 hour chunks, or less than 3 hours.
That's why this whole 3 thing really is important. Oh man,
this podcast is going to be 2 hours and 59 minutes.
Okay. Oh boy, it's headed that way. I think
3 hour chunks.
Yeah, we got 3 parts. But yeah, Well, yeah, I don't know. I have to totally disagree. I think if they want to play for 15 hours, I'll hang in there. I'm gonna see them all. So I think there's seats there. If you really need to take a little breather or something, you could sit down if you wanted to. You don't have to like dance or
such a blast. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, even like a normal length show,
yeah,
a little over an hour. I think that's perfect.
Well,
because it's a lot to take in.
Yeah,
like a show. We have like lights and people and bands and it's a lot.
I think I could almost see your argument if it was like a tour for like a specific album and they're playing like all of that and then just like a lot of shit that isn't like their. But like that last tour in specific where it's just like rare shit, singles, deep cuts. I mean, it was just like so much cool shit across the board that it's like 3 hours flew by and I was like, oh crap, man, they're done. They didn't play this and they didn't play this. And it's like I could have easily heard like 3 more hours, I think, just because it wasn't like we're just playing the latest album that I like some songs on, because you see some bands do that, where it's just like, oh, it's not the best choice of set list, or something, and it starts to just drag on a little bit if it's not all the ones that people love, especially older bands if they don't go back and play a lot of their old stuff. So that I could see a little tiresome, but if you really love the band, so maybe that's the problem.
I don't know. I would rather watch it. Oh,
so if they came to town and you hadn't seen them in like 2 years, and they played 12 songs, and like just was they were done, you'd be like, yeah, that's awesome.
That's a good question. Probably not.
Yeah, that'd be a nightmare. Because a lot of their songs are so long too. Yeah, it's like. I don't know. Because we've seen them on like those radio like things. Like when we saw that HF Festival thing, it was just like anytime they do like those like festival kind of things where they're just the headliner. And they've done like shorter ones for that, especially in the older days where it was like, they just came out and played like maybe an hour and a half or something. And I was just like, oh, it was just so short, It was like, especially if they throw in like Edge of the Deep Green Sea or something that like takes a huge chunk out of the set, just like, oh man. And yeah, those just hurt, don't you think?
I don't know. That's a point. That's a good point. Because there are things, I've been thinking of things that I have just listened to really long, watch some really long movies, where they're 2.5 hours or some shit and been engrossed and been caught up in it, But I'm fucking laying around or whatever,
Yeah. Because, they got 40 years worth of shit to pick from at this point. It's not like they're playing, subpar songs just to fill their 3-hour set because they have to. It's literally tons of great songs.
It's not a movie with a shitty plot.
Yeah.
Here's all the jams.
Yeah.
No, totally. I see that.
There's plenty of bands that I would not want to watch 3 hours, even if I sort of like them. Yeah, I'd just be like, ooh. It's like, I don't know. It's like, how about...
But there's not many bands that I would sit there for 3 hours for.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it's pretty rare. Like,
can you imagine sitting like through like a 3-hour set of like Bush or something like that?
Oh god,
They don't even have 3 hours.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
We're playing all three of our albums in a row. Our trilogy has come. It's like,
I was thinking about Bush the other day, like that song. It's like swallow, swallow. And just like their lyrics are the fucking silliest shit on the planet.
The worst.
That was hilarious.
Do you think he was just going for like Pixies kind of thing? Is that why it was so bad and nonsense? Or, I don't know.
it was like the most shallow person trying to be as deep as they can be, and it's like that's what the lyrics were. They were fucking ridiculous. Like it's like not even. I was gonna say high school shit, but it's like middle school deep. Like that's some dumb.
Yeah.
That guy's dense.
His lyrics are definitely word hat lyrics where he just threw stuff in a hat.
Yeah.
It's like those little things you get at like Borders or like the bookstore where you match the words together to make like sentences.
The little magnets thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, refrigerator magnets.
Yeah. He's just sitting at the floor. He's sitting at the floor in his kitchen just moving the magnets around, coming up with lyrics to his next song.
It's like I have 3 words to work with. How am I going to write a song?
Yeah. It's like, wow. Or you could just say something meaningful. I don't know. No, this is my process.
Have you tried writing a song before? I mean,
my process. But anyway, we'll save that for the Bush podcast that we're starting up in 2019. So. All Bush.
But it's one of those, last thing on Bush, it's one of those bands that makes me think a lot less of the world.
Yeah.
Like where it's kind of like, really, guys? Like when they got big, it's like, yeah, we're okay.
Yeah.
Like that's weird. Like why is this band?
Yeah.
You know, maybe question the population and like our education system and the like teaching critical thought in schools. Like that's gone.
Bush 101.
Like,
Yeah.
You know when like Bush is like, those guys are deep. I like alt rock.
But time kind of took its toll. I think everyone was like, yeah, I think we're done by like their next album, whatever it was.
I know. What's their third? That'd be the best.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't think
we
they
should
made
have looked up
three
other
albums.
bands' third records
Yeah.
for comparison.
I think they finally just put their third one out like 5 years ago or something. Everyone's like, whoa, what?
Now I have to look up how many albums Bush put out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Damn. They put out 7 albums. They put out seven albums.
Holy shit.
Jesus.
Wow.
What's that 7th one sound like?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into 7s since we're talking about 3's, but like Bush's 7th album.
I think it was clear that they needed to stop by their third album for sure. But wow, yeah, maybe they're all like on some indie label and they're like really good albums. Like he really honed it in.
He's on Gwen Stefani's label.
Yeah, she's like, I'll put them out. Thank you, honey.
The newest one came out last year.
Mm.
Jeez,
oh my god,
they're still putting out albums.
Still cranking them out. Wow. There you
Poor
go.
Guy.
Can't keep a Gavin down, my man.
Oh damn!
My soul brother. Yeah. Well, moving on from Bush and trilogies in general. I guess this one kind of dawned on me as obvious, but worth addressing is the 3-piece idea and just how weird it was that the Cure was ever a 3-piece, and arguably some of their best stuff, obviously, is them as a 3-piece band, and
it spans a good length.
Yeah,
of different records.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, just surprising in the sense of how even during that era of being a 3-piece, they were still so like epically big in the sense that, you know, when you kind of think about it, it's like, wow, Pornography as a 3-piece band, you know? It's like, it's pretty tough to pull that off, just like creating this huge sound. And it's weird because when you listen to those albums, they are like definitely more stripped down than like anything later.
They went from sparse to harsh.
Yeah,
you know?
But it's layered incredibly cool. And then when you listen to those old ones, they do sound thinner and stuff from that era. Like even the live stuff, if you can snag those, but at the same time, it's cool. Because, I mean, they just started layering shit like crazy by, you know, from then on into the present, you know, and it's like, I don't know. So I'm assuming both you guys are in favor of the 3-piece era then, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yo.
It's kind of hard to argue its merits based on the albums and such, but do you think they could ever come back to being a 3-piece? Like, now?
I mean, if they were going to put out if they were just going to put out one album, probably. But I mean, as far as like a tour goes, I don't think so. Like, that would be next to impossible. But yeah, I think if they were, if they would just sit down and, you know, Robert would just sit down and write an album with 2 other people, I think he could do it.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. I always think those kind of things are appealing in the sense that, like, it would be cool just to hear them, like, record even or play a live show just as a 3-piece with whole new songs and stuff. Like, it's like, wow, how could he do that now? That would be cool. Because a lot of those, like, later albums with, like, 413 Dream and shit, it was kind of like, if you kind of just toned it down a little bit, I'd probably like the song. They just get so, like, epic with so much shit going on, or just like, wow, just tone it down a bit. But,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, if they did a 3-piece album now, you're wondering if it would be like really minimal, or would it be like over the top? Which would
like 1 million overdubs?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Yeah, because they probably would just do it that way, where he's just, you know, playing everything as opposed to having other people in the band.
But isn't that kind of? Don't you think that's kind of like how they make records now? Like all their modern records,
with him doing most of
it? Just Robert Smith like writing a song and like here's all the layers I want.
Kinda, yeah. I think
if it was a 3-piece and stripped down, like, does that make sense?
Kinda, yeah. But I don't think he's like playing it the way he did like on like The Top or something, you know, where it doesn't sound like a 3-piece band, but he's like only one of 2 or 3 people actually recording the parts, you know. But like. Is that what you're saying? Where he would just be playing it? But yeah, I mean, they're all like, you know, Roger
like it'd
plays
still
all his
just
parts
be like
and stuff.
I don't know.
Well, how about this? Like, because remember
I think it would be just like like it would be more of like, this is what I have to work with.
Yeah.
Like, say someone writing a song, you know, or writing a record or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the more ingredients.
Yeah.
I think with
shit can get sloppy.
I just think with the other, you know, with the, you know, when they were first starting out and like the earlier albums, you could hear the input from the other band members, and it just wasn't Robert, which is what I think you would hear now if they did a 3-piece, where it would just pretty much just be Robert. But like back, you know, then you could be like, well, that's, you know, that's Lowell drumming, like that's how he does it, you know. And, you know, that's Simon playing bass, you know. And I think all that would be lost now, and it would just pretty much just be Robert just doing his thing with other guys just playing what he asked them to play or told them to play, as opposed to what it was back then.
True.
Absolutely, man. That's that you summed up some shit. Like that, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely fucking right. That's what I was trying to fucking say. But what a good point, man. Like,
well, remember they had this like short blip of time fairly recently. I think I'd written it down as 2005, and I started to investigate it more, but it wasn't even really worth digging into that much. But it was like where they went back and were a 3-piece again. It was like right after Roger and Perry left, or however that all panned out, and then before they had gotten Porl back for like pre 413 stuff even. So it was like this weird thing where they just played a few shows, or I felt like I had like an AOL sessions or something weird like that. It was like this weird little month or two. Does that make sense? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I don't know if it was was it a 3-piece?
Yeah, they had done it back where it was just him and Simon and Jason on drums. So it was like a 3-piece. I mean, and I felt like I read something where he said he wanted to do that and was part of the reason why, like, they let Roger go for that time or whatever, you know. Like, I didn't want to dig into the rumor.
To be Robert, Simon, and the drummer dude?
Yeah. And then, like, they did, like, just a couple, like, shows, I think. But I kind of felt like they were just playing, like, stuff from like an era when they were a 3-piece, so it wasn't anything too shocking, but they were just playing like older stuff and a lot of stuff from like Boys Don't Cry and Three Imaginary Boys and such. But yeah, it was cool. And then I think they started getting more shows, if I understood the timeline correctly, that it was like they booked a few more shows after doing that, like festivals again, and that's when they pulled Poral back in, and then they eventually led to doing 413 Dream, and then and then I guess for that kind of stretch of time, it was like a 4-piece because they did a bunch of those shows where they didn't even have any keyboards, and Poral was playing all the keyboard parts on guitar and shit. So, but,
I like the idea of like just a 3-piece modern them. And,
yeah, it's weird and it was cool
because like everyone would have to play a little harder to like like fill in the sound gaps, and like everyone would just have to like play the instruments a little gnarlier, and they've all been playing forever.
Yeah,
like that probably sound dope.
Yeah, and I remember liking it, but then I remember being a little like, well, they're not really like playing like Pictures of You or anything, you know. I mean, they kind of just stuck to the songs that were kind of more 3-piece oriented anyway. Yeah, or no, and they weren't even doing any of those yet. I think they were just kind of playing stuff that kind of catered to that a little more anyway. So it was like cool just to hear it in some weird version like that, but not anything too shocking. Do you have a dream 3-piece then? We talked about that, like the idea of if they did do that again now, would you have if time and reality weren't really a factor? I started to think about it, but then I was kind of like, well, you got to have Simon, so he's one of the 3, and you got to have Robert, he's one of the 3. So it basically just means which drummer would you pick. Yeah. And it's like, and in that scenario, I would just say, like, I always want to go with Boris because he's my favorite, but he's almost a little too good to be doing the 3-piece thing, so you kind of have to have Lowell, I think, for it to make it sound cool, I thought, you know, but
which era, Lowell?
Yeah, true. Just for variety's sake, let's have Boris do a 3-piece. That would be weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I took
all in it.
I took that question a little differently, just because I was just like,
yeah.
I took it like a 3-piece just straight, and it was like Robert, Simon, and Boris is what I picked, and then I did a 3-piece plus Robert, so it'd be technically a 4-piece.
Okay.
You read 3-piece,
and then I did.
That's almost how you have to do it.
Yeah, and then I did a 3-piece, just 3 musicians working together, like from any genre or any time. So
okay. Yeah.
So
you pretty much have to do it that way, I guess.
So,
yeah. Like if you put just any right on, I think I would go with like early Lowell, where he started fucking with like drum pads and electronics and the drums and even doing like drum machine shit. Simon and Robert, like. That like it has to be era specific Lowell, because if it was just like Simon, Lowell, and like Disintegration Simon, Robert, and Disintegration Lowell, where he's playing other instruments and
of course that wouldn't work. So you were saying keep Robert and Simon and then pick 3 on top of that, Chaz? Is that what you're saying?
No, I said just keep Robert, and then I picked Simon, Boris, and Poral. All together. And then my like all-time fantasy like 3-piece was Robert, Peter Hook, and Bill Stevenson from the Descendants and Black Flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I didn't
That's
think of it
chaos.
like mixing in
That's
other people.
chaos.
Shit. Yeah, on the spot. You
That'd
got
be the
yours, Donald, while I
nuttiest
think
band.
of my 3 dream ones. That'd be insane. I would love to hear that. Shit.
No, I don't have my 3. That's heavy.
Because, you need somebody like Stevenson to like lay down the 3-piece rock drums too. So that's a huge, that's pretty good. Shit, yeah, it'd be like
God damn it.
mixing in Lemonheads and the Cure and all these like weird ass variations.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'd pick. Damn.
So, because it'd all be era specific with the musicians as well. So
Yeah.
It's like, someone in their early career,
Yeah.
it'd be like Daft Punk. They count as one, but like
The whole
from
band.
their like homework. Yeah,
Nice.
their homework era, like their first album, it'd be them.
Nice.
Probably fucking Peter Hook too,
Yeah.
because his fucking bass lines were dope. Oh shit!
Robert.
And
You gotta pick.
fucking Faith Era Robert Smith, man. Daft Punk beats, Peter Hook bass lines, and Robert Smith Faith reverbed out vocals. God damn.
Yeah. I'd listen to that. Yeah, I like that. I'm going for one that wouldn't make any fucking sense. Mine would be, let's see, we got Robert. I'll take, if we're picking era Robert, I'll go with Disintegration era Robert, just because you don't know what you're getting with that. He could go off the chart at any moment. And let's do
Good
it.
button-up
We'll have
shirts.
Johnny Marr on guitar. No bass, and the drummer from Wilco. I figure between Robert can play bass while he's singing, maybe. So yeah, that'll be a weird combo just to have Johnny Marr in there and the drummer for Wilco. So current drummer, Glenn Crotchy or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
But
No, he's a good
that wouldn't
drummer,
make any
man. That
sense.
guy's
It would be a
fucking
total nightmare.
phenomenal.
But him and Johnny Marr.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, that'd be a mess. I'd be
You
like,
have horrible taste.
it's
in
like those.
music.
It'd be like those like what do you call it? The mega bands when you get them all together. The dream
Yeah.
bands, and everyone's like, "How
Yeah.
could this be terrible?" It's like, nope, this is awful. Like the Wilburys, traveling Wilburys gone horribly wrong. It's like
That'd
those,
be dope
the
if that's
all-star
like-
jams, you know, at the Hall of Famers. And everyone's just like, "Ooh, God."
Wait, imagine like this is a list of fuck.
You're right over
Of,
there.
like the traveling Wilburys.
Yeah.
Like, what's your traveling Wilburys?
Yeah,
Of like,
you put all of them together. Yeah, then it would just
Like,
be
people
like
like-
20 of them.
some people were like Nick Cave and that guy from Ministry
Yeah.
and
Morrissey's just hanging out. Just,
like
it's
imagine
ugh.
if that's how all these artists that we followed
You just put them all
paid
there.
attention to. That's how they end up when they get old. It's like a traveling Wilburys, but of
Ugh.
Yeesh. Yeah.
damn.
Ugh. That got dirty quick. Sorry, I brought that whole ship down fast. Oh man. Well, I guess as far as wrangling this thing in, should we address my weird conspiracy theory? I haven't.
Yes,
haven't had any
absolutely.
okay. I haven't had any new breakthroughs in the case or anything, but I've always found it weird that there's a strange 3 theme that seems to go with "Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me," and I can't quite crack the code or why it would be a code or why it seems to happen. But you got just the title, "Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me," obviously being 3 things, and then we got "Hot, Hot, Hot," a single, which is 3 things. We got
All three.
some lyrics. Yeah, if you don't count the exclamation marks, it's 3. But and then we got "Hey, Hey, Hey" and "Hey" in "Hot, Hot, Hot." So that's kind of a lined up 3 thing. "Fight, Fight, Fight" in "Fight," and when they did Just Like Heaven, sometimes this one's a stretch. When they used to do Just Like Heaven a little later, remember he changed it to you, Just Like Heaven, which nobody was on board with, but a little weird.
They bring it up lyrically. There's thematic, not just in titles of the songs and like the big
like
parts,
in the actual
nitty gritty of the songs. There's a bunch of 3's.
Yeah. Don't you think that's weird, man? Do you think there's anything to it, or am I stretching?
A little bit.
Yeah, I think there's something to it.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I've got all the pictures on the wall here, and the yarn's just connected, but I can't find that.
It's a little
last
Beautiful
piece.
Mind-ish.
Yeah. Someday I'm gonna crack it. So I don't know. Am I missing any?
I feel like 3's, man.
I feel like Hey You must have 3 something in there, but I don't know. I just stopped thinking about that song long enough. Do they say like?
Because in Hey You doesn't he
says
bring up,
kiss
like,
me, kiss me.
There's like a kiss me, kiss. Yeah.
But he only says it twice. I think
that's
that one.
And Hey is only 3
But
letters.
he's hinting at 3's.
What's Hey is only 3 letters long, and so is you.
Oh yeah, there we go. Now you're on board. All right, yeah, right. Like yeah.
Just crack the egg right open. There's 3 greatest hits albums. There's three greatest hit albums. 17 seconds. 1 minus 7 equals 6 divided by 2 because it's the second album. It's 3.
Yeah.
What?
Wild Mood.
Bring math into this shit.
Wild Mood Swings is 3 words.
Oh yeah. I like this. It's all taken up.
413. 4 minus 1 equals 3. And the original logo is 3 letters up, 1 letter down, and 3 letters up.
Oh my god.
Oh snap. That's what's up. And even a bunch of their album covers, there's like 3 things.
Well, yeah. That's
There's
probably more in reference to them being a 3-piece
fuck.
band, but that's definitely to be taken in too. Yeah, the 3.
Damn, dude.
Shit, that's some great. See, all we had to do is bring someone smart into this.
I know.
Do like math and shit.
Would you bring math into this?
I was just
shit?
like counting words and stuff.
I'm counting words.
Yeah.
No, that makes so much sense. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. What was the 17 seconds equation again? It was
don't do math.
17 seconds. 1 minus 7 equals 6. Divided by 2 because it's their second album equals 3.
Yeah. I like that one. That's good.
That's flat earther shit, man. Come on.
No way, man. It's clear as day, Donald. Why don't you see it?
It's fucking flat.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, God.
Well, that was good. Yeah, I think we cracked that one.
There you go.
Just about. We might mean one more crucial piece is out there, I think. But damn.
Gavin's gonna listen back to that a million times.
Yeah, just start scribbling.
He's adding more yarn to the wall.
Yeah, but at least
it all makes sense
6
now.
more pieces up now. It's like you're gonna end up in some library, like smashing a hole in the floor or something.
It's all 3's. It's all 3's. Punching a hole in the floor.
It's like, holy shit. Robert Smith's waiting at the end of the tunnel. Congratulations, you found it.
Find
you cracked the code.
You win.
Now you get to ask me 3 questions. Yes, all right.
I knew it. You get 3 questions.
Oh, God.
One of them will kill you. Well, damn.
Choose wisely.
Do you have 3 questions for Robert Smith then? To bring it all in for the finale. I don't think I could ask him 3 questions, to be honest. I would probably prefer to avoid the situation altogether. I don't know. I think 9 out of 10 times I would definitely like just be like, I'm not gonna make sure this situation ever happens where I'm in the same room as Robert Smith. It would just be too much. Not that I'd be like, oh my god, but I would just be like, this could just ruin everything.
Where'd you get your shoes, dude?
Yeah, I just feel like I would just associate that, which is weird because I'm not really like that with other people. I've definitely waited in lines after shows just to like pretend that I give a shit about an autograph, just to like thank the artist or something, like, and kind of enjoyed sincerely like saying thanks for your work and everything. But yeah, he's a little much. I think I would just be like, I just don't even want that to happen. But if I could guarantee that it would be like a great situation and a great time, of course, that would be amazing. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Take the situation for sure. Have you ever met him?
Chaz.
I don't even know, Chaz. Have you ever gotten like the backstage autograph or anything like that? Or?
No, not yet. I'm working on that still. But
yeah, you're down for
that would
trying.
have been your opener into the podcast if you did.
What's that?
You'd be like, I fucking met him.
Yeah. All right, bitches. Let me tell you about the
time. I met him 3 times, so it's
what?
But no, there's questions that I would ask him, but I don't really know, like if I would even be able to stick to them if I ever met him. Like I don't get starstruck,
right?
But I just like I would feel like I'm bothering him at one point.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, he's probably heard all these questions before. So
yeah,
which is tough. So you try to come across something that like nobody would even think about asking him. Like, do you have any cats? Or do you?
Yeah.
Like the top. Why?
How?
Yeah.
You go hard.
What's with that?
Like, what the fuck?
What was that all about?
Like, like you go like really do.
Save that one for the third one. The first 2 questions went great, and then I think I pissed him off with the top
piece
question.
of shit. Fucking lol, right?
Yeah, what's with lol?
Oh man, whose idea was it to put him in blackface? I'd like to ask him that.
Yeah. Just totally throw him under the bus. Who is it?
That had to be such a drunk decision. Like, hey guys, it'll be great.
Yeah.
I'll put a blackface. It'll be hilarious. Damn.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I like the idea. I think that would be the thing too. You just totally non-cure related question and just be like, seen any good movies lately or something like that. You just get some kind of like weird thing that he could go on a rant with just to make the conversation last longer.
So this weather.
Like, what about an honest like, what? Yeah, like right, but like an honest like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah. Do you really want to
what
know?
A nice...
It's like, ooh, maybe not.
Yeah, I know who wants to know how you're really doing. But it's a very sincere, sweet thing to ask.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how you doing?
So that's one of your 3 would be how you doing?
Yeah, I'd be like, how you doing, man?
What's up, man?
Yeah, just like, how you doing? And, be like, and he'd be like, oh, this tool shit. It's shite.
Yeah.
And my butler. And
yeah.
All weird and British, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I kind of always justified not having a good...
Did you watch Downton Abbey?
Yeah, what do you think of that shit? That's crazy. It's like
Carson,
British
right?
And shit.
I don't know. What do you fucking say to him?
Actually, yeah, like one of my worst nightmares would be I'd finally get to hang out and we're like, so man, I'd be like, it's like, so what is the most like personal live show you've ever played? Like some huge thought out question, and he'd just be like, what's the boxing? Comes to go and I'd be like, I didn't understand a fucking word he just said, and I'd just be like, yeah, man, me too. All right, I gotta go. So that's probably realistically how it would go.
I'd be all like, "Hey, you want a drink?" And be like, "Oh," and I'm like, then we talk about Down Abbey.
Like, here's my email, Donald.
Can I get you a beer?
Can I meet your dogs? It's like, shit. Yeah, we hang out like all the time now.
Like, should I put a kettle on?
Should have just asked him about Downton Abbey. But,
would you like a cuppa?
Damn. Man. Well, on that note, maybe we should wrap this up then. I guess if we don't have any proper questions for the man, we should just say, what's with the number 3, Robert? We're on to you.
Yeah, dude.
Just let us know. Drop us an anonymous email sometime. Because clearly we wouldn't be able to interview you for the show. So that just wouldn't happen.
Maybe the third time we do the show.
Yeah.
We'll accept.
We clear up all
or the third time we ask.
Yeah. I think that's all we really have to do to make this reality happen.
I'm gonna sign up for Twitter 3 times.
Okay.
I think it'll help.
Different name or like all 3 the same name?
I think all 3 the same.
Are you gonna tweet the same thing 3 times every time?
Yes.
All right. Well, you cover that portion of the social media, and
Got it.
I'll handle the Facebook page.
And the Holy Hour podcast.
Yeah.
That's a 3.
Oh yeah. Well, not if
Shit.
you count the and podcast.
Just the Holy Hour.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's another song
Holy-
title.
Yeah.
Because the podcast is a given.
All right, well, we'll put that one down at the bottom of the flow chart. But we got got some good shit here.
We
still.
have 3
I gotta get to
flowcharts.
work, guys. So I'm gonna have to cut this off now and get back to my murder room. Once I crack this,
I have 3 jobs, so I gotta get off the podcast.
All right.
I'm gonna howl in a second.
All right. Well, I guess I
It's
gotta
done.
say, be sure to subscribe, and thanks to Chaz and Donald, and you guys for listening.
Thanks, Chaz.
Yeah, thanks,
No problem.
Chaz,
Thank
for
you,
being a
guys.
part of this.
Appreciate
Thanks, man, and
Anytime.
hopefully this all syncs up. Yeah.
Hopefully.
We'll catch you next time. We'll say a little talk hard.
Talk hard.
Keeps me alive. Keeps me alive.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's good. That's
Yeah, we got something in there.